Okay, you said you wanted to learn the lasagna, and I appreciate that you're out playing with your brother and occupying him, so I'm making this video to show you how I layer the lasagna. First, we do a layer of the noodles. Then we do the secret sauce meat mix with the secret ingredient and the secret cheeses, or cheese, depending on what I have, but not ricotta, because we don't like ricotta in this family. All right, it's super easy. I already did one layer, so I'm going to use most of this meat and sauce mix. Okay, I'm going to use this meat and sauce mix. And you don't want it to be too thick, but you don't want it to be too thin either, okay? Oops, let's fix that noodle there. There we go. And also with the cheese, you honestly don't want it to be too thick. You might think, like I have thought in the past, that an extra cheesy lasagna is a good idea, but I have found out that when you put too much cheese in there, it's like a big fat pizza goop, and it's not that great. All right. I'm really excited. We're using up the last of that little cheese, but I'm actually really excited to try this thick cut mozzarella. I'm excited about thick cut cheeses in general because the best melting you're going to get is actually from a cheese that you shredded yourself. It doesn't have all the starch. Like this little cheese that I put in the middle, that little cheese in the middle, it has, each one of these pieces is coated in starch. So each one of these, make sure you see that, each one of these pieces is coated in starch. Well, clearly, if it's only this big, if it's only that big, you're getting more starch probably than you are cheese. And so while the best thing for melting is cheese you have shredded yourself that has no starch in it to keep it from melting nice, the next best thing is the thick cut. Okay, and so got the cheesy layer. You know what? I'll save some because that one bag is not going to fill the whole top, but I'm just going to put a little bit more in some of those empty spots. Okay. Now, if you want to, you don't have to, but if you want to, you can use some Italian seasonings. I don't have a mix, so I guess I shouldn't have said that because I'm not going to show you. Sometimes I put the Italian seasoning in there, but the sauce that we get already has Italian seasonings baked into it. All right, so you've got the sauce, you've got the cheese, and then it's time for the next layer of lasagna noodles. Lasagna. All right. And some of these are a little bit drying out because I got to talking with Dad, and I totally thought the lasagna was already in the oven. Whoopsie. In fact, I just realized I forgot to put the oven on. Let me do that real quick. Okay. Start. All right. And hopefully I'll be able to speed this up instead of having it on the video. But just in case I can't really speed up the video very well, I just want you to know that I love you and I'm very proud of you. And I think you're becoming a fine young man, even if we tease you a lot about being an occasional adult. We're really proud of you. And we're really proud of how you're persevering in college. We know you had a little bit of a rough start, and a lot of people do. But the way that you have taken the bull by the horns and really just turned things around and doing so well now, even though I know you want it to be perfect, but I'm still very happy with what you're doing. I'm happy with the progress you're making. I'm happy with the young man you're becoming. And I know that you're just going to keep getting better and better and stronger, okay? Now, in case you couldn't see that on the thing, I just realized you might not be able to see that on the thing. What I was doing was, these were a tad bit long, so I was just cutting off the edges, okay? This is going to be the top layer. So with this top layer, I'm not going to use the sauce mix. I'm going to use fresh sauce. All right. So the sauce that we're using is, I'm going to not show it on the thing because you know Mama doesn't like to represent a brand unless they're paying her. But it's a good quality sauce and it's sugar-free. It's not sugar-free in an attempt to be sugar-free. It's just a naturally sugar-free brand. Which, there's another brand we get, which is also a naturally sugar-free brand. And I make my own sauce, but it takes a few hours from start to finish. And honestly, with today's tomatoes, it doesn't have that pretty red. The tomatoes we have here, they come out more orange. So I like buying this already made. I'm just going to go ahead and get it in there. Again, this is one of those things where you don't want it to be too soupy. So you don't want to overdo it. Just like the cheese, you don't want it to be a big half-melted cheese glop. But I do like to cover all the noodles. And I did boil these noodles, but you can get noodles that don't need to be boiled first. But if you get noodles that don't have to be boiled first, then you got to add extra liquid, extra sauce, extra water. You've got to add extra liquid because the noodles need liquid in order to fluff up. All right. Okay. All right, now we're gonna I realize I probably showed the brand of the cheese, but I don't care as much about the brand of the cheese because the brand of the cheese is not the expensive bougie brand. Although I will say, if you're going to use, if a store has multiple store brands, make sure you look up the store brands because this particular store, I don't know if it showed, that's why I'm not going to name it. If it did show, then you already know what it is, but if it didn't show, I don't want to tell you what it is. This particular store has two store brands. One is the cheapest brand with the most chemicals and additives in it, and the other one is like a more bougie kind of brand. And it's going to have less bad stuff for you, usually, not always, you got to check the label. It's usually going to have less bad stuff for you. And, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Whoops. Whoopsie. That's going to be an extra cheesy bite there. But yeah, this particular store has two store brands. And one of them, like, let's say you're buying cream. Okay? The brand that we got the cheese in is a store brand from that store. But that brand is not going to have in their, not cream, let's say you're buying butter. Butter's a good example. You know, the commissary has butter now. It's free. They have a generic brand, but I noticed they put all kinds of chemicals in their generic brand. So I will name them because they irritate me. It's called Freedom's Choice. Well, the Freedom's Choice butter has cream, salt, which is what butter's made out of. Some versions are unsalted. But it also has natural flavors. Why do you need to add natural flavors to... Why do you need to add natural flavors? Let me say that again. Why do you need to add natural flavors to... Why do you need to add natural flavors to butter? If all it's in it is cream and salt, and everybody in the free world knows what cream and salt tastes like butter, why do you have to add natural flavors to it? What's wrong with your cream and your salt that you have to add natural flavors to it? Oh, that smells so good. Oh, that doesn't have a shaker. And you know what? It's not important enough to me. Not important enough to me. Nope. I just grabbed it. I shouldn't have grabbed that one. So you could use, I used basil and oregano. I was about to use some sage. Some sage. But you can just buy an Italian seasoning blend and it'll be just as good. Okay. All right, that's it. We're going to bake it at 350 for, oh, I got to show you this. Hold on. All right, you're going to bake this at 350 for 45 minutes with tinted foil. What tinted foil means, okay, let me stop talking because I'm sure the foil's loud. What tinted foil means is instead of flat, we're going to prop it up some. Give me a second to do this bottom part. Squeeze that in. And we got a little tint here, so it's not all the way closed. Okay, you're gonna do that tinted for about 45 minutes at 350, and then you're gonna take the tint off and bake it the rest of the way for about 10 to 15 more minutes till the cheese is nice and melty and bubbly. And there you have it, how to make my lasagna. And you saw me make the inside, so you already know what goes into the secret meat sauce.